Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports Junkies. I am your guest host today, Anthony Cerulli, filling in for Brian Mansell. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host with the most, Connor Keating. Connor, how are we doing today?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you for joining us on Sports Junkies. As always, make sure you leave a like. And while you're at it, why don't you go subscribe to the Terrier TV YouTube page where you can find all of our amazing content, such as Sports Junkies, Meme Review, SFC The New Beat, and much, much more. But with all of that self-promotion out of the way, let's get straight into the first topic, which is, of course, the Lakers taking a commanding 3-1 lead over the Miami Heat with a win, 102-96. LeBron James started a bit slow in the first half, only putting up 8 points, and had 5 turnovers, but after 2 big threes in the third quarter, it was smooth sailing from there. He became much more aggressive and ended the game with a stat line of 28 points, 12 rebounds, and 8 assists. Meanwhile, Anthony Davis played excellent on the defensive end. He put up 4 blocks in 42 minutes and hit a game-sealing 3 that was enough for Mike Breen to say, bang. Meanwhile, on the Miami Heat side of things, Jimmy Butler started out really good, actually, 5 for 5 from the field, but as the announcer said, he took his foot off the gas pedal, which capped him in at only 22 points, but he was 1 assist away from a triple-double, so can't say it was a bad game from him. And we got the return for Bam Adebayo, who brought in 15 points, 7 rebounds, and was a big upgrade on the defensive end for Miami, especially that big offensive rebound over LeBron James. And for other big performances, Tyler Hero, 21 points, Duncan Robinson, 17 points with one of the craziest three-pointers I've seen all season, and a big performance by Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, 15 points. Connor, 3-1 lead for the Lakers. Is it finally it for the Miami Heat? Do you see them making any push at all with this lead?
I mean, I could see them maybe winning Game 5, possibly. Because I know they're mad that they lost Game 4 and they had that good momentum going into Game 4. So I think I could see them maybe winning Game 5, but I don't see them winning this series at all. The Lakers are just too hot. And they've been hot all playoffs, so it's kind of hard to beat.
Yeah, especially, in a game like this. Game 3, it wasn't great for the Lakers at all, especially when they got AD in foul trouble. But when Los Angeles is as fine-tuned as they were in this game, you can't beat them. And it's especially, we talked on last episode about the role players and if anyone was going to step up. And it's not necessarily that there's a third option for the Lakers, but all of the role players themselves are really putting up good performances, and especially guys like KCP, Kuzma. I wouldn't say Danny Green on the offensive end, but the defensive end, definitely. Guys like them are stepping up, and you can see how much better the Lakers are when everyone is playing well. Mm-hmm. And that all really comes down also to LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And, as long as they are playing as well as they did this game, Lakers are not going to lose another game, and I will bet on that. But speaking of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, we're talking about how close the Lakers are to winning their 17th championship, and, we still have to think about the finals MVP race. So I want to get your opinion on this because I definitely have my opinion on this. Who do you think, if the Lakers win, big if, maybe a 3-1 lead gets blown, who knows, but if the Lakers win, who do you say is finals MVP? Is it LeBron James or is it Anthony Davis?
I feel like everyone knows it's going to be LeBron just because it's LeBron. He wins every time they win the title. It's always him as finals MVP almost. So, I feel like since he's always been on his game all series. So, AD had that bad game in Game 3. So, he didn't really have that good of a game. And as everyone on, ESPN were saying, they're like, oh, if he played well, they would have won that game. But I think LeBron James by a long shot, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. I saw a stat where LeBron is basically leading Anthony Davis in all offensive stats, but he is, I think it was AD has 7 blocks compared to LeBron's 4, and AD has 4 steals compared to LeBron's 3. But, I think it all comes down to, Game 3 was a big loss for Anthony Davis. Once they found the way to stop him, I think that really put LeBron over the edge for the Finals MVP. But even with that, we still have to take into consideration that LeBron hasn't, we've seen a lot of it in these past 2 games. His passing is a little iffy. He put up 8 turnovers in the last game, and he put up, I think, 6 or 7 turnovers in this game. That's definitely something to keep in mind. His fourth quarter performances last game was not good at all, but this game it was a little better. He put up his free throws for LeBron. That's a huge thing. So, I think overall, like you said, by a landslide, I still think it's LeBron James just because, like you said, it's LeBron, and he is always going to be the best player on the court, best player in the world, and for me personally, best player of all time, but that's another discussion for another day. Ultimately, I think LeBron's getting this MVP. I think he has it in the bag. But, don't be surprised if AD comes up and, he pulls out with that Finals MVP with a big game for Game 5. That could really put him over the edge.
It is possible. I mean, he could do it. I mean, you never know.
No, definitely.
I wouldn't put it past him. I mean, he's that type of player, like, to surprise everyone. So, like, I could see AD having a good Game 5 and then becoming an Finals MVP, which I would like to see just because LeBron wins, like, everything. So, like, I'd rather see someone else win it. But, I mean, I could see LeBron winning it, though.
AD is one of those players, especially, in this playoff series, he's taken much more of an offensive role rather. Well, he's still, superb on defense. But, like, this series in particular, you can really see his offense just taking it to another level. And that was really evident in Game 1 when he shot, he started off the game like 10 for 11, 11 for 12, whatever it was. Crazy, crazy numbers. That third quarter was all Anthony Davis. Mm-hmm. And, that's also because Bam got injured, but that's besides the point. Like I said, don't be surprised if it's Anthony Davis, but, for now, safe bet is to go with LeBron James for his, what is that going to be, his 4th Finals MVP?
More than likely, because he won 2 with the Heat and then 1 with the Cavs, and then this one will be 4, yeah.
Yeah, look at that. Crazy, crazy stuff. But now we've talked enough about Los Angeles. Let's talk about the team that is down 3-1, Miami Heat. And, when you're down 3-1, that's usually saying that there's a lot of bad to say about the team. But honestly, I don't know about you, I think there is still a lot to talk about in a positive light about the Miami Heat. So I want to ask you, is Miami legit? Like, are we seeing an actual new contender in the East come next season? Or was this kind of like a fluke sort of win because something happened with the Bucks?
I mean, I could see it from both sides. Like, this could be a fluke just because, like, it's this whole year's kind of been a fluke.
Right.
And this whole bubble thing has changed. But, I mean, I wouldn't put it – if Butler – if they keep this same team, I mean, I think the chemistry will grow, and I think they'll get better than they were this year. So, I mean, I could see them being a new contender. I mean, I could see them beating out – I wouldn't say Toronto, but I could see, like, who was the 4 seed? The Pacers, right?
Yeah, either the Pacers or Sixers.
I could see them being, like, the number, like, in the top 3 possibly.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think, I think the only reason why we would say that they're a contender is because of their, younger players, like Hero, Robinson, Adebayo's still pretty young. Guys like that are really stepping up, and you can see how much they've, added to the depth of Miami as a whole. But, I don't think that I would say that Miami would be, the best team in the East come next season because a lot of people are forgetting about the Brooklyn Nets, who, if they're healthy, they're easily going to be the top team when you have KD, Kyrie, barring a trade, Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, guys like Jared Allen, DeAndre Jordan could still kind of go, I guess. I don't think the Heat are going to be as good as the Nets, but they're definitely going to be in the playoff race, and maybe they can make another Eastern Conference Finals, possibly another Finals. Who knows? Never count out Eric Spoelstra. He's a coach that you can never, ever count out, and it is most evident in this playoff series. But one other thing to note about Miami, and I don't know if this is true. I remember hearing it like a while ago, but doesn't Miami have a max slot available in the 2021 offseason?
Probably. I think so.
Yeah, it was. I mean, if not a max slot, then close to it.
Mm-hmm.
And
definitely. They don't have enough money to buy someone big.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. So with a performance such as this, even, possibly losing 5 to 6 games against the Lakers, with a team that you didn't expect to even make, some were even saying the playoffs, but, let's be a little more realistic, like the Eastern Conference Finals or even the finals. To see a team like this grow in such a fast rate really is going to influence some free agents to want to go there, possibly Giannis. And I know our host, Brian, is probably crying thinking about Giannis leaving his Bucks, but it's still a possibility. So, could you see a big-time free agent going to Miami?
I mean, if Giannis really – I know he said he's going to stay in Milwaukee, but, I mean, something could happen and he could just change his mind, which obviously a lot of players – if the Heat offer him that much money, I mean, it could work. I think he could go to – I could see him go to Miami.
Definitely. So. I feel like he's either going to go to – he's going to stay with the Bucks, which I think is probably the most reasonable thing to predict for someone like Giannis, or he's going to go to Miami. That's, for me personally, I don't see him going to, the Warriors, because for someone like Giannis, who's so young, I don't think he wants to tarnish his reputation like that. Cough, cough, Kevin Durant, but that's another story. I think it's either one of those two teams. So we're just going to have to wait and see where Giannis goes. But for now, the Heat have a huge, huge, positive to talk about. And I'm honestly glad that the Heat are doing so well because, the future's bright in Miami. But for now, it's looking like Los Angeles is going to get their 17th championship. And I'm looking forward to LeBron getting that title. Let's go into our next topic for today, and that is some baseball. We're in the playoffs, and we saw our own New York Yankees lose to Tampa Bay 7-5, even with a huge play by Giancarlo Stanton yesterday. Huge game for New York, coming up big with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs. It all came down to the odd pitching lineup by Coach Boone, who, it played a big role in their downfall. They started Delvey Garcia over Happ, who was easily, should have started. Oh, yeah. Garcia let up a home run in the first, and the reliever Happ gave up 4 runs in the next 2 innings. We got 18 strikeouts by the Rays, which is a postseason record in 9 innings, which ultimately led to Tampa Bay tying up the series. And a big part of that was Tyler Glasnow, I believe.
Glasnow.
Yeah, he put up 10 Ks, so that was a huge number for the Rays to come up with the record. And overall, we got performances from Aaron Judge and Gary Sanchez, who, could have helped the Yankees get back in the game, but ultimately didn't, especially the last play with Aaron Judge, who could have iced the game, but he was ice cold throughout the game. So Slider the third ultimately gave them the final out and gave a series-tying victory to Tampa Bay. Connor, do you agree with Happ? Because he said that, he was very vocal about that he should have started the game. After seeing a performance like that, do you agree with him?
I mean, if he pitched like he did when he came in and he started, the game could have been a lot worse than it was. So I don't agree with him because if he pitches that, because you obviously don't know how you're going to pitch. But, obviously he didn't pitch well. He pitched 2 2/3 innings, gave up 5 hits, 4 runs, walked 3, and struck out 2. But if he did that, say he pitched for 5 innings, that could have been easily doubled possibly if the Rays can hit. Once a pitcher starts getting hit by the other team, I mean, it could be bad for them. So, I mean, I think maybe if he knew he was starting, he would have went in with a different mentality. But I mean, the Rays are a good hitting team. I think they could. And Happ is. I'm not saying Happ isn't bad, but can easily be. I wouldn't say manipulated, but he could easily be figured out and taken to town. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could see where the Yankees, and Boone came up with this on paper, but ultimately in practice, it didn't work out for them. Like you said, I think it's kind of, the whole momentum thing. I feel like starting Happ would have gave him, a little bit more time to, ease into it. Rather, they were already down 1-0. after the first inning, after that homer. So a little bit more pressure on him to get back in the game. You know, I always say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Tanaka should be starting Game 3. Hopefully they don't go with this new strategy of, starting the reliever first and then bringing in the new, I don't know, whatever the hell they're doing. But in big situations like this, you need to take advantage of the series, and you need to put in your best players because they are reliable at the end of the day. So Tanaka surely is a more respectable candidate for the start, and hopefully he will be starting in this next game, this crucial game. Which brings me to my next question. With a 1-1 tied series, what do the Yankees need to do to take the lead?
Not what they did in Game 2, I'll tell you that.
Well,
I mean, they just need to contain the Rays lineup. I mean, just like the Yankees lineup, the Rays have a lot of those low-name power hitters. I mean, they can play. I mean, I knew they were going to be a threat in the division to the Yankees. I mean, they showed it middle of the season. They had a 6-game lead over the Yankees. And then, I mean, they have in their pitching Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow. I mean, and their relievers are pretty good. So, I mean, if they can contain the Rays lineup and get to the starting pitcher and get to the bullpen quick, I think they can win Game 2 or not Game 2, sorry, Game 3. I mean, I think it's just containing the lineup and then just getting to the pitcher quick and getting them out of there.
A lot of it comes down to just the players themselves. Stanton needs to keep up his big play. I'm not expecting 2 home runs and 4 RBIs a night, but, at least enough to keep the Yankees, in the game. That's all you really need from all your players, especially, with a star player like Stanton. And, guys like Aaron Judge, Gary Sanchez, they need to just step up their play. You can't go 0-4, 0-5, especially now that you're tied, and you need to win this game to really keep the momentum in your favor. Really you just need to step it up on offense, and I think the rest, like you said, it's all gonna play in as long as the players keep that momentum consistent throughout the game. That's really all I have for the Yankees. But I want to know, in your opinion, after you've seen as many MLB playoff games as have happened so far, who do you say, after seeing this, is the favorite to win? Is there a favorite to win?
I mean, I hate saying this because I don't like them because of what they have done the past few years, but the Astros look deadly. I mean, they always do, but they didn't look that good in the 60-game season. But I mean, but in these playoffs, I don't think they've lost yet. I'm not really sure, but I mean, they look good. I think I think it's going to be. I want to see Astros Rays in the ALCS, and I think the Astros will make the World Series for the 3rd time in 4 years or something. And I mean, I definitely see the Astros coming out of the AL, and then in the NL, I could see. I'd like to see the Braves. I mean, because they have a lot of young talent like Swanson, Acuna Jr., Albies, and all that. So I could see Braves Astros in the World Series. I'm making my prediction right now.
So we move on to our next topic, which is hockey. And hockey is not playing right now, obviously, but we did have our draft, and New York, for the first time in 40 years, ever since the entry draft era, they had the first overall pick, the Rangers did. And Connor, who did they draft? Because I'm going to mess up the name. So.
They drafted Alexis Lafreniere, and
Lafreniere.
Yeah. Lafreniere. He's from the QMJHL's Rimouski Oceanic team, and he is. The crazy thing is, this really amazes me every time. These guys are 18 when they come into the NHL, and it's crazy because then they can start if they're that good. He's probably going to get. He'll obviously play in the preseason stuff, but he'll get a starting job on the Rangers. He'll be in the league in January, I think, is when they want to start. So it's crazy. They're 18 years old and they're already in the league. And when I was 18, I was just getting out of high school.
I'm 18 right now, and I'm looking at a camera and have Lafreniere on the Rangers starting. But like you said, he was the consensus overall pick at 18 years old. He's turning 19, I think, Saturday or Sunday. This, like I said, the first time the Rangers ever drafted first overall, but if any year, this is probably the one to do it. His accolades speak for themselves in the QMJHL. He won 2 consecutive league MVPs. He led the league in scoring with 112 points in 52 games, which is pretty crazy. and he was the Canadian Hockey League Player of the Year. Definitely a great pickup for the Rangers. Connor, do you see this being the final piece for the Rangers rebuild? Or, is this finally time to make a push for the playoffs, possibly get back into the Cup?
I mean, they made the qualifying round for the playoffs this year, so they were there. I mean, towards the beginning of the season they were kind of rocky, but I mean, once they got towards the end, and then this playoff started, they picked up some speed. So I think having him will be a good plus. I know they just bought out Henrik Lundqvist, so they don't have him anymore, which he was an awesome goalie for them for many years. But they have Igor, who's a really good goalie, who's their backup, and they have Georgiev. So two good goalies. They have a great team so far. So I mean, adding Lafreniere, I think is going to really. I don't know if I wouldn't go as far as making the Cup, but definitely making the playoffs. I could see.
Yeah, I think definitely, someone like this, even at such a young age, is definitely going to make a huge impact for the Rangers. And they've been, picking up a lot of pieces for their team. They had the second overall pick last year.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so, little building blocks are going to make a huge castle for the Rangers. And, it might be, like you said, a little bit longer of a time to return to the glory years of New York hockey when it comes to the Rangers. This type of piece is something that is going to put them, a little bit more over the edge. And ultimately, I'm looking forward to see how the Rangers succeed with this new player. Looking forward to seeing the return of the hockey season a while from now. But, for now, we have a lot of other playoffs and, other sports to be concerned about. And another sport to definitely be concerned about is our last topic for the day, which is football. And hopefully football is going to stay with us. But from the looks of it, it's looking a little roughy with COVID-19 taking its course. So, Connor, do you want to tell the latest on the COVID-19 news in the world of the NFL?
Sure. So, as everyone knows, Cam Newton got it before the Chiefs game, so that put a beating to the Patriots and that loss, which is unfortunate. But this morning I found out from ESPN that Stephon Gilmore from the Patriots star cornerback just got tested positive. Their game is still on, so that they only had that one player because he was on the plane with Cam Newton, who was in close contact. So their game against Denver Sunday afternoon is still on, so they haven't had any decisions on that yet. Patriots just canceled their practice today. But so far, game's still on. Hopefully the game still happens. But in another game, talking about games being postponed, the Tennessee Titans just got 2 more positive tests. So their Week 5 game, I believe against the Bills, is in jeopardy. And the NFL just dropped new mandates or regulations for COVID, and they say if a certain amount of people test positive and they have to, they can't play the game, the team that has the COVID test just automatically forfeits, and the team gets an automatic win. Wow. So it kind of in the Steelers' case, it kind of stinks for them because they had their game postponed and they ended up losing their bye week 8 instead of week 8. They had it this week because this game had to get postponed against the Titans. But now the Bills might not have to play them, and they'll just get an automatic win and not have to worry about it. So it's the Steelers kind of got screwed over on that one. The game hasn't been postponed yet, but they say it could again if more people get test positive, which is looking like it because Tennessee, it's going to be kind of like the Miami Marlins. They're going to have half their team test positive. So
right, we knew this was going to happen. You can avoid it as much as you can, but ultimately, there's going to be something that is going to go wrong. Mm-hmm. And it especially sucks for Cam Newton, because for me personally, he was looking to have that redemption year after all those injuries and stuff. This was looking to be his year to succeed with the Patriots. Mm-hmm. So, it's kind of unfortunate, but, you really can't do anything about it. And, that really begs the question, I don't even know if it could be possible, probably not, but do you think after seeing the success of, the NBA and the NFL, the NHL, do you think that the NFL could have incorporated some type of bubble to prevent these cases?
I want to say they could, but they'd have to have like multiple bubbles because like how NHL had Eastern Conference was all in Toronto and then Western Conference was all in Edmonton, and then they just combined them at the end when there was like 4 teams left. And then NBA had everyone in Orlando, but there's so many teams. I know there's about the same amount of teams in the NFL as there is NBA, but there's like half the teams play at like 1 o'clock on Sunday, so you can't have the same all those teams at the same area. So like I think it'd be a lot harder for the NFL to do a bubble because there's so many games at the same time. Because like NBA, they have like increments, so it's not, and they had like multiple areas they could play, so it wasn't very hard. And since it was just a playoffs, they didn't have that many teams. They only had, I believe like 20-something teams in there. But NFL, they have 32 teams, so they're going to have to figure out a way to get half those people to be able to play at 1 o'clock on a Sunday. So, right. I mean, I don't think the NFL should do a bubble. I mean, worst case, I read something we're thinking about adding a week 18. And then, so give another week because of this whole thing. But I mean, if a lot more people get COVID, I mean, I could see the NFL calling it quits. But I mean, I don't want it to happen because.
No, definitely. I don't think anyone really wants it to happen. But, overall, you need to do what's best for the players and safest for everyone on the team. So, I'm hoping that football doesn't go. But, maybe they're thinking of something to work around this. Like you said, the bubble. I've thought about the bubble being a possibility, but I think that the NBA and the NHL really had an advantage in doing that because there were a smaller amount of teams. Like they were already towards the end of their seasons already, so you didn't really have to have a lot of players together that much.
Yeah.
But we just got to really just wait and see. That's really whenever something happens like this in any sport. The answer is really you just got to wait and you got to see what's going to happen. But that's all we have for today. I would say it was a pretty successful episode. So I want to thank you actually for allowing me on to be the host for today. Brian will be back for the next episode. But for now, I just wanted to say thank you for joining us on Sports Junkies. As always, I'm Anthony Cerulli alongside Connor Keating. And we'll see you on the next one.